Ole Kassow.
I'm so pleased that I'm not supposed to be funny.
Good. Fantastic. The pressure is off. Yes. So imagine we're at a party together, and this is one big lovely person at the party. Like, pretend you have a glass that you're drinking, and you meet up with them, and you got to tell them in a very short way what you do. So you've met this lovely person. What do you do?
Well, if I'm really trying to make it short, I say I try to create better lives.
Okay. Do you want to know more? Okay. What comes after that?
Well, then, and I use the bicycle as a tool to bring people together, and I take them out on adventures, and I give them a chance to live again.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. And you've won an award for this.
Yes.
You've won. It's from the Ministry of Employment. Is that right?
That's right.
In 2014, the Ministry of Employment, and because I'm trying to work out what would that award look like. Like, is it a person at a computer? Like, what does the award look like?
Well, when I first saw it from a distance, I thought it actually looked like a dildo. But
that's later in the show, actually.
And that was before I realized that was the award.
Okay.
And I wasn't quite sure that I'd come to the right party.
And where did you put this award once you got it?
When I realized that the award had different angles, right? So I happened to see it from a very unfortunate angle.
Right, okay. No, and so you take out, you and your program, you go to nursing homes, residential homes for the elderly, and you take them out on rickshaw bikes.
Yes.
And just statistically, the group that you're bringing out on rickshaw bikes are slightly closer to the average death age than the rest of us.
Presumably.
So yeah. Presumably, you never know. So is there like special training for that, or what do you do with the volunteers? Are they a little nervous about that?
Well, some people are nervous about it, but we try not to make that a factor.
Right.
Because otherwise,
well, that's good.
Otherwise it's like, okay, you're going to have to train as a nurse or a doctor before we can allow you to take. So we don't really want to do that. So we tell people, you go out, you just focus on cycling and focus on listening to the great stories that these elderly people have to tell.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we don't really say should something happen, because of course things are bound to happen. We have 10,000 volunteers who cycle maybe once or twice a week. So of course sometimes things happen, right. But we don't really want people to focus on that.
Good. Focus is part of the important part of the thing. Fantastic. So you have 10,000 volunteers.
Yes.
Worldwide. Who's your favorite?
Who's my favorite? Actually, there is one guy he's 89, and he's actually cycling, and he started being one of my passengers. So he lives in a nursing home in Copenhagen, and at the time he was 87, and I took him out for a bike ride, and he just loved it. And he said his name is Jørgen, and he has a very affectionate way of speaking Danish, because he's from that era when it was a lot of focus on pronouncing words properly and saying the right things. So we were out cycling, and he said, "Ollie, do you think I could cycle this bike as well?" And he said, I stopped cycling a few years ago, but that was because I was afraid that I was not going to be able to hold my balance. And I said, yeah, but it's got 3 wheels, so why not? So we swapped. And then he started cycling me around the park. And then he said, I'll take you back to he said to me, I'll take you back to the nursing home. And I said, fair enough. So, and then we got back, and he said, just leave it to me to get it parked and locked up and so on. And then
did he go to your house afterwards?
Well, then I was like, okay, and then I walked off a bit puzzled, and then he called me a few hours later, and he said, I just wanted to say that I just took 2 old ladies out for bike ride.
Did he get lucky?
So, and one of them was younger than he was. And I think, I don't know if he got lucky, but he was definitely, he said, I would like to sign up as a volunteer. Please.
Yeah.
So he's got to be one of my favorites.
Okay. Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
Lovely old man.
What's his name again?
Jørgen.
Jørgen. Okay.
Jørgen.
Ooh, okay. Your name does funny things to my brain because, like Ole, I guess it's a Danish good, but in my head it's like Ole with Mexican sombreros and da 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 going off in my head every time. So I'm curious. You've gone out to 40 countries.
Yes.
Have you had any kind of weird disconnects with language or trying to connect with people from different cultures when you're...
Well, apart from the fact that in America people think I'm old Kassow, like the good old guy coming around here, you know.
Do you have like a Zimmer frame?
But otherwise, I thought whenever people started coming to me and saying, can we do this in Canada? Or can we do this in Mexico? Like, actually Mexico, right? And I thought, well, there isn't really a bicycle culture, so are elderly people going to be afraid of doing this? But actually, no. They love it. And it's almost like they rediscover childhood. They go out and it's almost like they're on a roller coaster. And they start giggling uncontrollably sometimes as well. You know, there are ladies in their early 90s and they can't stop giggling.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. That's really nice. And I'm just so in some of the countries that don't have bike cultures, is it almost like are younger people going like, I'd like to ride a bike now? Like, is bike culture coming in almost because you're catching it at the tail end of the life cycle, or is it retrofitting back so that younger people are kind of jealous of the bike thing?
I think so, yeah. Because actually, one person said to me that, you know, he was in his early 30s, and he said, you know, I've never cycled. I hate cyclists. Like, sweeping statement, I hate cyclists. And,
everyone in this room.
Should I take offense? And then he said, and then we did a little bit of training, and he decided to go and try it as well. And he said, wow, that puts a whole different perspective on cycling. He actually said it puts a human face on cycling. Wow. So he actually became a cyclist because of this.
Beautiful. That's really nice. Cool. Let me see. I have notes. How does being a dad help you be a good social entrepreneur?
Oh, I have 3 daughters, and that could be a bit of a challenge sometimes, but you have to obviously be very patient, and you have to constantly reinvent yourself with kids, because they change every single day. They wake up and they're a different person than they were when they went to bed. It's like, or sometimes they grow several inches overnight, and they change personality overnight as well. And then you have to kind of figure out, how do I cope with that? How can I still be a good dad for these kids? So, and I guess it's a little bit the same being a social entrepreneur, because things change all the time. Like when I started this, I didn't really start this as a project or anything like that. I just wanted to. I met an old man who was sitting on a bench, and he was sitting with his walking frame, and I thought, how cool would it be if I could give him a chance to cycle again? And actually, it turned out later that he was 95. And this is 5 years ago, and now he's 100, and he's still alive. And so I didn't really sort of consciously become a social entrepreneur, but then it almost took control of me.
Right. It popped you in its rickshaw bike.
And then it took me off, and then there I was. And suddenly, you're now a social entrepreneur, and deal with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's been tricky about scaling up? Because it's one thing to kind of have, like one thing where you are, but then to have be in so many different countries. Like, what's been tricky or surprisingly easy? Oh,
it's been surprisingly easy to experience that people are the same around the world. I mean, you must discover it as well when you travel around the world. People are not really that different. We all have a tendency to say, well, Danes are like this, or Americans are like this, or the Japanese are like this. It's forced me to overcome some fears. Like, for instance, I hadn't spoken German since high school, and then I was down doing a launch in Germany, and then they said, we'd like you to give a talk, and we'd like you to do it in German. And I was like, shit, because I'm Scheiße. And then because I talk about this program several times a week. I've done that for several years now, but not in German. So, but it worked surprisingly, and I just realized that every time there's a German word I didn't know, I just used the English word or the Danish word, and it worked fine.
Beautiful. Lovely. I think we're going to now thank this lovely man for joining us, and we're going to shift to the comedy. How did he do, guys? They did.